I'm Pernice, Technical Director for Houston Grand Opera, and my role as Technical Director is to make sure that everything that isn't orchestral playing or singing is dealt with. Props, lighting, sound, staging, wigs, makeup, wardrobe, pretty much everything else that constitutes a show other than orchestral playing and singing. The clips you will see, it starts us on day 2 of the load-in, as we call it, and you will see that there's plenty of boxes already stored on stage. The blue boxes belong to the electrics department, who did their rigging, which is hanging of all the lights the day before. As you'll also see that some of the set is already built on the back wall, but the next 2 days, days 2 and 3, you'll see a huge amount of work being done. It is absolutely an enormous show for Houston Grand Opera and for any opera company. So this is the start of day 2. What we're going to see is scenic pieces being built. This is a fairly typical way of building opera scenery, which is to use heavy motors to lift things and then work underneath them. Quite often we build things on its face and then stand it up backwards, but this piece is being lifted as we build, so we're building the substructure underneath it now. You can see the amount of manpower of people who are involved in bringing the pieces. This is a very big show. It comes in 10 53-foot containers, which came down on the train from Chicago and are then picked off the train at the train yard, put onto a trailer and brought into our warehouse and then straight into the theatre as we need them. The containers are basically unloaded in and sorted out and then loaded individual smaller pieces of scenery that are then constructed, and you'll see those being done just through the course of the day. That's the piece being finished and being uprighted, and if you notice now, they'll add more and more detail to it. There's a box going on the back there to make the cafe interior. That's being pushed down. That's basically been built and is now in storage downstage. Whilst that was going on, there was another team of people over in the wing where you couldn't see them building that other truck, and that's now been finished and has also been brought up, stood upright. Once the truck is built, then there's still plenty to do on it, and you'll see that, especially the one that's near centre, as we look at the picture, there's a guy arriving with a ladder in the door there, and he's on one of the platforms that the performers will use. He's adding window detail, he's adding lighting equipment in order to put light through the windows. That big grey piece that's just been stood up there went up slightly awkwardly, so they've had to bring it back down now to make sure that everything's okay with that. They're standing up again, and it seems to now be better. And that up goes the next piece, which is the arch, an arch flat from Pagliacci. That's the gentleman going up to release the pickups from the top of that, and that's the end of day 2. It takes about 60 people to build. That normally will be 30 to 35 carpenters, 10 to 15 electricians, stage management department of 5 or 6 who run the shows, wardrobe department downstairs making new costumes of between 10 and 15, and then dressers and people who are helping on the performances, another 15 or 20 people. Wigs and makeup crew can be anything between 6 and 10. For Cav Pag, which as I say is a big show, we ended up with over 80 staff at some point being involved, and the show crew was just over 50. So it's a big undertaking. Beginning of day 3, the main aim is to try and clear the space a little bit to give us a bit more room to build. You can see a forklift beetling back and forwards. The guys have now created a space to build more scenery. On comes more scenery. They're going to start to lay that out now and build the next truck in pretty much the method we've used before, lying things down on their face or on their back and then lifting it with motors to help get it up in the air. That was all used to be done manually, but now, for safety's sake, it's done by using motors. You'll notice on the left-hand side of the screen the blue boxes are being taken away to put into storage. The overall game plan for the day is to try and get to clear stage by the end of the day, with everything stored away so that the ballet can come in and do performances of their shows which were postponed during Hurricane Ike. The next flat's being laid out now. You see that one's already been uprighted, and we'll have another flat attached up in the air. You can't always build every flat, every truck unit, with its down on the floor, so sometimes you have to stand it up halfway through the process and add stuff. Scissor lift guys behind there are just making sure that everything's safe and secure, adding window detail, adding mirror curtains, adding window boxes. They're still working on that piece right now. As you can see, there's also more stuff being brought on to be built, but they're carrying on beetling away on that piece. Up on the left-hand side, we look at skips and things which we keep soft goods in, and we're also just preparing to make sure that everything works for the ballet, and that is the end of day 3. So here it is on opening night. All the trucks have been pushed together to make the set. All the doors are practical, all the windows work, all the lighting behind is there, the curtains are practical. We've spent 1,700 man-hours putting it all together. We brought it all the way from Chicago in 10 containers. Simple really, isn't it?